Child-sized life jackets are for any person weighing less than 90 pounds. That's about 41 kilograms if you're on metric. In the event of an emergency, our crew will...
All right, anyway, that's me. What about you guys? Where's everybody from? Raise your hand if you're from out of town. Who's from out of town? All right, I'm just glad to have you here. How many from another country? From a different country? From a different country? No? Okay, all right. How many from another state? From another state. All right. And then how many from Chicago? Anybody from Chicago on board? I see way in the back. Okay, good. We got some representing. All right, we got a few. Nice. And then how many are on vacation today? Make some noise if you're on vacation. Everybody but me. Okay, cool. All right. So we're going to learn about this beautiful city and its history and its architecture, and about the architects too, what inspired them, their styles, their feats, and more. And we start with the white clock tower to the right that is the Wrigley Building, built in two sections in 1920s, Casino Hotel and Tower, designed by Adrian Smith and built in 2009. This style is called contextualism because it matches and flatters its context for neighbors, often using mirrored glass windows. Its first terrace is the same height as the rooftop of the Wrigley, 16 floors. Its second terrace is the same height as the thin white tower across the river, Mather Tower. And its third uppermost terrace is the same height as its next door neighbor, which we can't quite see at AMA Plaza. You'll see some of Trump Tower's lower floors are wavy like the waves of the river, more context. Adrian Smith, who designed this in Chicago, there was nothing to do here back then. So Goldberg had this idea to create a self-sustaining complex with its own laundromat, grocery stores, retail shops, bowling alley, cinema, restaurants, and more. Now, Marina City also has a marina downstairs for its residents' boats, and 18 floors of parking spaces which are valet only. You can see why they do not let you drive your own car up there, because it's just a thin wire on the edge. So you might be looking at those parking spots and thinking to yourself, has anyone ever just driven a car into the... Right next to it is an older building with a three-part design and large windows. This is called First Chicago School of Architecture Style, which came about as the architects here started gradually growing away from the European styles and began creating their own. Continuing up on the right of this big wide merchandise mart built in the Art Deco style. Art Deco always has deep inset windows, vertical racing stripes, polished Indiana limestone, and repetitive geometric shapes. You can see Mart also has these 8 busts in the front that look like giant Pez dispensers. Those are portraits of very important businessmen that helped this city grow many years ago, installed by the Kennedy family, who owned all this for 50 years. Merchandise Mart is full of mainly office spaces and showroom floors. But the bottom couple floors are open to the public, and they have restaurants and shops and cafes and stadium seating in the middle where you can watch C-SPAN all day on repeat. And they're so big, it's such a big building that it's got its own built-in train station. There are that many people that work there, and they used to have their own zip code too for years until Chicago came in and told them they had to share with the neighbors. And now we are entering the fur trappers. The first thing they built here were 3 taverns because priorities, right? That settlement eventually grew to become the town of Chicago in the 1830s, and it has not stopped growing since then. We will make 3 passes through this area so you get to see it from a few different angles. Straight ahead of us is another tall glass tower that curves outward a little bit. This one has big arches on the top and the bottom. This one that looks like a giant hot pocket This is River Point, and they have the arch on the bottom because that section is built over train tracks, and you cannot block the trains with your buildings. So they had to create a way out in the suburbs. We're not going that far. We're only going another block or so north, and then we'll take our first pause of 3. We'll turn the boat around and keep going. We're not even halfway through yet. Now, first, up ahead to your left, door. When we built these in the late 80s, a lot of people said he was crazy. They said, who's going to pay all that money to live right by the river? This isn't even the nice part, they said. But it is now. So joke's on them. One of those sold for over $2 million 9 years ago. The reflection of our boat going by, and you might be able to find yourself if you wave. Was recovering from World War II. So because the river does the same. Also, the windows are tinted slightly bluish to reflect the color of the sky. I'll show you a picture now. This building curves inward because the river curves inward. I'll show you a picture of that on a map on the way back up. Now, Gateway Center 4 was also in a major movie called The Dark Knight. If you watch that scene very carefully, you can actually catch a little glimpse of the Chicago River right here where we are now, and of me giving a tour right here. No, not that last part, not that part. But the rest is true. You do see lots of little bits of Chicago throughout those Batman movies and many others as well. This big Art Deco to the right is our old in this state, and then it joins